North Carolina, is it a lien or a deed state? We're about to dig into that. North Carolina is one of those states that you might just get upset or be happy in. 10 days can seem like a long time when you're waiting on an auction. I'm going to explain exactly how that works. Again, one of the things I love about North Carolina, there's all sorts of twists and turns, which means money for you. We're going to cover all of that in this video and more. Remember, like, subscribe, do all that things. And the most important thing to me is ask questions. Ask questions down in the comments section in there, and I personally will help you out with that. Okay, let's dig right into this. North Carolina is a great state. There's all sorts of things that have happened there. You've got the first flight, Babe Ruth, Krispy Kremes, if you call that a good thing. All sorts of things, good things come out of North Carolina. Asheville, North Carolina, Highlands, North Carolina. Some of the most beautiful places. I'm telling you, if you want to see the fall change and for the foliage of what do they call it, the leaves change, you go up to North Carolina in that Asheville area in that September, October, and you'll know that God is painting. It's amazing. It's almost three-dimensional. It's a very spiritual experience. And so can the tax deeds. It is a tax deed state, but they have several different things going on with the tax deed process. So I need you to be very careful, and we're going to show you how to process and make real big money in North Carolina. So in North Carolina, the property taxes are due on September 1, okay? They are late in January. So there's a whole process the county has to go through just to bring it up to sale. So instead of actually foreclosing on the property, the county officials have called an in-rem situation where they file a petition saying, hey, the property taxes have not been paid on this property. Once the in-rem has been filed at the county court, then it goes to what they call a docket. So now the sale on that property can take place no sooner than 3 months, but it can't go past 6. So it's kind of an interesting process. So you're going to have properties coming up on a regular basis in North Carolina. Another nice thing about North Carolina is the sales happen every single month. So something's happening in North Carolina. I wouldn't say all the time, but a lot of the time. Because you understand, you've got those obscure counties up in the mountains, which again, absolutely beautiful up in there, but you're not going to have as many tax deed properties. So you're going to be going into the more populated areas in there and having some fun with this. All tax deed sales are done in person in North Carolina. There is no online. So you have to be there in person to buy that. That can be an advantage for competition. Okay, like any other tax deed sale, it's sold to the highest bidder. But here's the kicker. There's what they call an upset bid. So somebody has up to 10 days to bid higher than what you did. If they bid higher, they are now the high bid on that. But this process can keep going in forever. So it can keep getting upset and upset and upset and upset on that. So just because you are the winning bid, unless somebody doesn't upset it, you won. If they do upset it, that's now the new one, and you can upset theirs and go from then. This is what I talked about at the very beginning of the video of you need some patience, and there's 10 days of patience that happens in this. And so there's kind of a mixed feeling in this. When you win at an upset sale, you're not really winning because you're hoping that somebody doesn't come in to upset you, and that's hence the name of that. In order to upset a bid, you have to bid at least 5% over the previous offer or $750, whichever one is greater. So they do have a system. This goes back to know the rules in the particular area. This one's a pretty important one. If no one upsets the bid within 10 days, the commissioner will issue you the tax deed to the property. So it's kind of a simple process, but it's kind of not. If a property does not sell in North Carolina, they can do a supplemental sale. But it's not really truly the supplemental that you and I both know. It's a supplemental sale in so much as it goes to the sale, but it has the same process. Somebody can upset the bid. Nobody upsets the bid within 10 days. You win the property. So there's the mechanics of it. How do you do the research on this? They're going to have a list that comes out for every single county 30 days before the sale. 30 days before the sale, like everywhere else. That's going to give you ample time. Now, I wouldn't start researching on the properties till about 2 weeks prior, because as it gets closer to the sale, things are going to start to redeem. And you don't want to spend a lot of time researching something that might get redeemed. I typically wait till 2 weeks before the sale. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find out, and I don't care where the property is located. Remember in earlier videos, when it comes to a deed sale, I want to research everything on that list. Number one, you're getting good at the research process in that particular area. And number two, you just never know. I mean, one of the things that you're going to find, and I'm going to get, airy-fairy. I live in California, so I can do that. Okay. As you find more and more deals, and you want people to participate in those deals, but you don't have the money, kind of that laws of attraction, people are going to come to you and say, hey, you've got some deals. You need to start hanging around people that have some money. Once you start getting really good at this research, trust me, people are watching. Remember, skill set, deal, then money. There's always money for a good deal. So I'm researching all of these properties in there. I've still got to go through anything else there. Just because it's got a peculiar type of a sale, I need to look at all the liens on that property. What kind of liens and encumbrances? Not that I care that they might survive. That's not it. I want to make sure that they're all being notified that this sale is coming up. Remember, if a lien or encumbrance is not notified of any type of sale, not just tax deed, it is still a valid lien against that property. Remember, the property laws here in the United States are very, very, I want to say rigid, but they're good. They're good for both you and I. It's an absolute haven for investors because we know that we are getting what we purchased. Okay, so that's the first thing. All I'm looking to, it's public information. It's going to sale. These are the people that are being notified. Yep, you're good to go. Now, here's a little bonus. If you happen to see a income tax, IRS lien on a property, this is when I start rubbing my hands together because most people are afraid of the IRS. Okay, they're like anybody else. They have to be notified, but with the IRS, they get 120 days to respond regardless of what it is in that county. So if the county only gives 90 days, the IRS still gets 120. So you kind of balance and say, okay, $80,000 IRS lien, the sale's coming up before the 120 days. What's the likelihood of them coming in? Remember, in order for the IRS to protect their position, the only thing they can do is pay the lien off or the taxes off and then take the property. They're not in the business of owning property. The only time the IRS takes properties is when they repossess it for income tax, failure to pay income tax. Now, I'm not saying it can't happen, but again, we are dealing with the IRS. So the IRS would have to go after, pay somebody's taxes that already owes them taxes on something else. Kind of slim and none situation, isn't it? So keep in mind, everything on there has to be notified, number one. Number two, you want to prepare for the sale. What is your max bid? And if you hit your max bid, you need 3 exit strategies. There's always wholesale, is very basic. I'm going to buy it for 50, sell it for 75. I'm going to fix it and then sell it, or what people like to call fix and flip. Okay, now remember, those 2 first strategies there you're going to hit a short-term capital gains on that, and you could put yourself into the highest tax bracket out there by selling it before the 12 months comes up. So another way to avoid that is maybe buying this in your private retirement account. Now, if you've subscribed and hit liked and stuff, you've got access to all my other videos on that. And I've got a specific video on private retirement accounts, which basically takes that whole question out. You don't have to pay taxes on that money. So that's one way you can do it. And the third way, which is true wealth building, okay, putting money in your pocket, okay, nothing wrong with that. Wealth building, it's great too, where I buy the property, I fix it up, and now I'm going to rent it out. Remember, if you're going to have a rental property anywhere in the United States, please have more than one. Okay, there's just as much work as 4 properties as there is 1, but you're going to have a harder time finding a property management company to come in and help you out unless you're doing it yourself. The likelihood of you doing deals in your backyard are slim and none. Okay, it's very rare. Matter of fact, in anything I've ever printed, anything I've ever done in video, one of the things I say is the pitfalls of new students that they think they can do this in their backyard. That would be like saying you only buy stocks in your backyard. You may have a couple of things, but you've pigeonholed yourself to just what's in your backyard. You're pigeonholed yourself into only companies that are in your backyard. That doesn't make any sense. You do not need to be here in person to do this. Remember that. So there's a number of things you need to remember when it comes to North Carolina. Just because it has the goofy upset bid, don't let that upset your research process. You still have to follow the steps all the way through that. This is why I've got brand new training on this. I love this stuff. It's going to give me the time to really teach you how to make this part of your financial future so you and your family can do the things that you want to do. Just hit the link down below, higginsmethod.com. And for those of you that go through the training, I've got a free complimentary brand new book called America's Secret Investment Strategy. That's my gift to you, both the training and that book. God bless and good luck. Thank you.